Come on. 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 And welcome to the greatest show in Wraith. And by show in Wraith, I mean the show on YouTube about Wraith on Fridays. Anyway, it's Give and Take. Welcome back to Give and Take. And we're going to be giving some takes. If you don't know the show, we're going to be giving, hopefully, the hottest takes. And today I have a special guest along for the ride. Yes, that's right. It's none other than Mr. Sloopdoop himself, joining myself and TCG Talk. So Sloop, welcome. Thank you for coming to join us on such short notice. And I hope that you're excited to play along for us today.
Oh, well, I'm hoping I just don't make too much of an embarrassment of myself with some of my takes. So,
Well,
thanks for having me on.
I will be honest with you. You're going to do great, and you're going to do far better than the intro that I just gave, because I was not thinking about it at all. And sometimes, we hit, and sometimes, we miss. And I think there's some people out there that might think that about some of the topics we're going to talk about today. Maybe it's a hit. Maybe it's a miss. And that is going to be where we dive in first. But for those that are new to the show, this is a flesh and blood hot takes show, an extravaganza, if you will, a cornucopia. And I'm always trying to level up a little bit. And there's supposed to be a chat box on the screen right now. But guess what? Sometimes things don't work out the way they should. And if there's not a chat box, I guess I go back to the drawing board. And maybe that's something we talk about during the show with some products as we go in. And so I think we're just going to get off to the races and rolling with our first topic, which is all about the Guardian Mastery Pack. Now, I'm going to ask you some questions, gentlemen, and I want your opinions. And if your opinions are hot and the takes are fire, you might get some points about this Guardian Mastery Pack. So starting from the top, there are some people that, after seeing all the cards for this Guardian Mastery Pack set, they were still a bit underwhelmed. We talked about it last week. Mr. TCG Talk and I talked about it along with our good friend Breezy, and had a bone to pick with some people about that product. And yet it hasn't changed much, the overall sentiment, at least from what I've seen. So I want, now that you've seen the set for yourself, and I would assume you've looked at, maybe most, if not all of the cards, I want to hear your take, understanding the set as a whole. And right into the fire is going to go none other than Mr. Sloopdoop himself. So give us your take on this newest set.
All right. So I'm going to be honest with you to keep this short. I haven't been paying a ton of attention to spoiler season, as I'm not much of a Guardian player. I've read the cards and then kind of forgotten what they do. I have a general gist, but you also gave me all this homework to do the night that Fabre went down, and it's only just starting to come back up on their news site. So I would say, from what I have seen, it seems like meta-wise, it is an okay set. It's more like what is it called? Side grading, where it's giving Guardians more options, but doesn't feel like they're doing too many new things. There's a bit of mill. So it kind of seems like it'll be an all right meta impact. But I will say, on the theme and art, it feels a lot like a return to Welcome to Wraith, and I think it's a slam dunk in that direction. So I would say it's meta, it's okay. And in terms of how it feels, it does look really, really cool in that terms.
I would not have considered the idea of a sort of a return to Wraith from an aesthetic standpoint. I think that's kind of an interesting take on it, and I haven't heard anyone else say that, but let's hear what TCG Talk has to say after looking at all of these cards.
Yeah, I think the set is good, and I have similar bone to pick, but even more on what you said last week is I think people are just spoiled from the last year and a half of Flesh and Blood. If we fast forward to the Bright Lights Outsiders, those trifecta sets, even though it was a powering down, this set looks great. No one would say a word, but people, especially a lot of people that have came into the game the last year and a half, are extremely spoiled because their sets have been Mistveil, Hunted, Rosetta, and High Seas. So they're used to having broken, overpowered stuff that just completely comes into the game and is automatically at the top. Every single one of those sets has had a hero come into the game and automatically be the best deck in the format. So I think people are used to that, and so when they see just a good powered set, they're like, "Oh, this sucks," because they're used to having cards that just warp the game the second that they get them. This set gives a ton of tools to core Guardian mechanics. It serves as both upgrades, but also it serves its intended purpose, like you said, of getting people introduced to Guardian. And I love Sloopdoop's comment of it goes to the core WTR experience, which who knows? It could be something they try to do with these mastery sets. They could be trying to somewhat upgrade because all the WTR heroes are still in play right now. So they could be trying to upgrade those WTR archetypes in order to get those heroes going a little bit. So they could be that could be like a side thing that they're trying to do with these mastery sets. Who knows?
Hmm. That's an interesting idea, and that will lead into one of our future topics. But for right now, I am curious about both of your takes on this. You've talked about it being, like a side grade to a power level from a power level standpoint. Do you think that's what this product should be, is supposed to be, should not be? Do you think it should be more powerful than this TCG Talk? Should it be exactly what it is? Or where do you fall on that spectrum?
No, I think this is great. Like this added a bunch of not a bunch. It had several different archetypes to the class without taking away from the class's core identity. Like we don't want a warrior issue, which we're going to talk about here in a second. I'm assuming of like siloing too much, right? To where stuff's wired down. I don't want to just attach a talent to everything to try to make something more powerful. Like I think that this is a very good power level, and I think it gives people like in the guardian class itself without a talent prescribed to it, like several ways to play the class. You could play extremely aggressive like Balda and just try to absolutely like ransack your opponent. People could go for like that really fatigue air quotes fatigue based like mill game plan, right? With Peck and with grind down and all of those cards or daily grind. So I'm really excited to see what people do, even though I would hate to sit across them and leave the dent as a ninja player. Um, I think it's a really good set. I think people are again just spoiled from the last year and a half of power that we've had since basically since Misfail on.
Really good set is the word that I took from that. Believes it's a
Mhm.
really good set. How do you feel power level wise, Sloopdoop?
Power level wise, I think it's fine. I actually don't disagree with what TCG Talk was saying, where it's not as powerful as your Mist Veils or your Rosettas, but it's still a solid set. I think it probably will have a good limited experience, even if that's just crack shuffle play. But to just touch on the fact of it's expanding the card pool for like the crush mechanics, for example, it's actually something I kind of wanted because I like building decks in this game, and I love when sets are just more to deepen the pool of existing mechanics rather than constantly introducing new ones. And so
Mm.
you get when you're deck building for older things, or you just want to make a guardian deck, you now have a lot more options for your crush effects to kind of tackle whatever it is you're trying to go after. And personally, I rather like that because I find that heroes are a little kind of funneled in every set. It's just kind of like people figure out, oh, these are the cards that make the deck work. You run all of these, and then you only get a few slots for like, a bit of experimentation. Whereas
Hmm.
when you have a bunch of different cards of the same mechanic, you get a lot more options, and there's a lot more viability of what you might want to do.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. The idea that like Flesh and Blood is a game about the heroes, and a lot of times the deck is what the deck is, and then there's only so much experimentation you can do. A product like this maybe gives you an option to, build the deck in a slightly different way. But I will play devil's advocate. I do think that Guardian could have gotten one or two other powerful cards in this set, and maybe it wouldn't have pushed them too far. I think the biggest thing to me, and you guys tell me, is I think that some of the best cards in this set, the most powerful cards in this set, aren't big, flashy attacks. They're like block cards. They're a card that gets you numerical value instead of like wins the game. And I think because of that, people are maybe rightfully so upset that their favorite class didn't get that, Revel and Rune Blood style card that just blows the game wide open. And instead, they got this card, allows me to defend even better and get more ahead incrementally. What is your take on that, Sloop?
I mean, I think that I actually don't mind that people are upset about that. I can definitely empathize with that because, like, when you're playing Guardians, people really like the big attacks. But I also, I mean, you said that a lot of the best cards are blocking cards, and I do think that maybe LSS is trying to lean into Guardian not just being the throw a big attack, but also being like the best blocking class because they've
Mm.
kind of always had that where they're very good at defending themselves. They have an absolute fridge of armor. I know, obviously they've also given that to Rune Blades, and I think Florian's a good example of being like a Guardian version, a Runeblade Guardian. But Guardians have always been the class that have the best blocking abilities, and so I think that maybe they're trying to give them the power in that regard, because it does kind of feel like most decks, to make them better, they just give them better offensive capabilities, and so maybe for Guardian they're trying to do the reverse and give them better blocks.
I like that take. In fact, that's exactly what I was thinking about. What do you think, TCG Talk, on the idea of maybe printing more powerful cards, or do you think it's good?
I think it's good. I think people are just a little bit too coped out right now. Like, if you took away board state heroes, Guardian would run amok. Like, there's a couple bad matchups, like Verdance still sucks, and Kano still sucks, but Kano's not real. So like Victor's matchup spread, he is absolutely disgusting into like 80% of the field already. So if you take away his worst matchup, which really people are trying to make it a better matchup, if you take away board state, Guardian can just go to this uber fatigue state and just absolutely kick out like 90% of the meta. Like, I don't think I think people like board state's always the archetype that people want to hate in Flesh and Blood, but it's literally the Hodor of freaking Flesh and Blood, where it's like just keeping all these like degenerate decks out. Like, I could not imagine like Rampart decks and like fatigue based decks to just say, okay, I'll try to have some type of like, go crazy plan into Verdance. But other than that, I'm just gonna tell every deck, I dare you to try to get me to 0, which is what they literally could do if there was no board state in the game. I think Gravy Bones is keeping that in. So I think people are just a little bit, they think Guardian's bad, but really what it has been is we've had a good board state hero in the game for a long time, basically since Dromai, in one way or another, or at least one that was relevant in the meta. And I think that's what gives the perception that Guardian's bad, when really it's just there's always been the one piece of the triangle at the top of the meta that's kind of kept them out.
I just want to point out, everyone, that I have demonstrated in this moment that I've grown as a person, because I heard the words Kano is not a real deck, and I did not immediately reset his point total to 0. So you're welcome for TCG Talk not going to 0, and instead we've moved past that, because you can't hurt me with your words. Don't say that about Gravy Bones. Don't do it. It's not a good idea. But we talked about, maybe giving more power, maybe not giving more power, maybe it's fine. But let me ask you this. What do you think the best card in this set is? And I will allow TCG Talk to go first. I'll even pull up the card for you. You tell me the card. I'll put it on the screen right now. I dare you. I dare you.
Velvet Dagger to Sloop. It's going to be Call for Backup. I love poppers that can recur more poppers. It's fantastic. It's a 7-power popper that can recur another 7-power popper. No, it isn't like at its height the best card in the set, but the amount of stuff, the cool stuff this card can do. So I mean, it's probably arguably the best Prism Popper now into any deck that runs one play set of poppers, because now you basically you have what, 4 poppers, 5 poppers. Mm-hmm. So that's really good, and it can also go get you a big threat back into your deck. It does block too, which is a little bit eerie into non-popper based stuff. But when I saw this card, I thought this card was really cool, and this was the first one that caught my eye.
I like that. I think that's a call out I would not have guessed. What do you think, Sloop?
Well, it's funny because that was actually my number 2 card, but there's one I think is better. But I think if there's one thing to say about this set, it's that unfortunately the best cards are not the Guardian cards, despite it being based around them. Because do you think
that's a failure though? Before you tell us your pick, because I'm actually really interested to see what you pick. If this is your second best, is that a failure of the set that not the best card in it is not a Guardian card, or is that actually okay because it gives people play into the set or the class that's getting a buff?
I don't, to be very fair, it's very early on. None of us have played with these cards, and it could just be that these other cards are applicable to decks that most of us are already playing, whereas some of these new Guardian cards are based around Valda, and she's a new hero. So to say that these are the best cards and none of the Guardian cards are is maybe a bit too early. But it does seem like the Guardian cards are just, if the power level of them is, here, the other couple cards are here. But I mean, maybe you could see it as that, but I don't think it's the end of the world, because I think that maybe not any one Guardian card is the best, but the like all of them, like some cards just need to be like consistency pieces or just regular disruption pieces in a deck. They don't have to be the big standout blowout card.
Sure.
But I think the big standout blowout card, and I really mean blowout, has to be your spoiler, Fearless Confrontation. Because as a gravy player, the idea of somebody sending 6 into a chum and me just going, "Oh, I have a hand trap." No, you don't, and you just lost your whole turn. I cannot wait to just see the anguish on my opponent's faces and then feel bad about it later and skip playing gravy for a week. But
We have to have that moment on stream at some point. And I think the most hilarious part is I don't know if this card makes the cut very often in Gravy Bones based on how Gravy Bones is currently built and the amount of blue space you actually have. For the same reason that I don't think this card that you just said, Call for Backup, makes it a lot of time, because there's just not enough space in the deck for some of these cards. So maybe this gets splashed in like as a 1 of, or maybe like a 2 of. Either way, I think I can't wait for the moment that we see this card activated in response on stream to -1 and keep a chum on the board, or like even a Whaler Humperdinck on the board. How crazy would that be to watch a Whaler Humperdinck survive through a turn and just basically win the game because of this? I don't know. Maybe some people aren't into that, but I don't know. That seems pretty cool, does it not?
Yeah. Can I make one quick point on that too?
Yes.
So you talked about not having enough blues. To be fair, if they want a new Gravy Bone, Saltwater Swell definitely looks like a card they might be, giving a little stink eye to. So if that card goes, that opens up 3 blue slots.
See, that's what we talked about last week, but I think if they're going to remove one, they're going to remove the red, because I think the red Saltwater Swell is an easy removal that doesn't, nuke many decks. And it's also one of those red slot cards that you can now fill in other places. I think the blue serves enough purpose in the deck that they could leave it. But if they feel like that because it's so powerful, they need to cut it, they probably cut both, right? Don't you think?
Or maybe just the blues, so you still get the effect on the red, but you don't get the blue that goes to grave to recur your allies.
I'm coping. Okay, here's the thing.
I hope they don't hit anything. I love playing gravy.
I don't want them. Okay, so here's the other thing about this. I think a lot of people are saying, and it's been mentioned, I believe, already in chat, that this is Mastery Pack Gravy Bones for the exact 2 cards that you both mentioned are the best cards in the set. Is there any truth to that, TCG Talk?
I think Gravy is just a good deck, and what do we learn from Misfell? Any deck that can play blues at the rate of reds or turn blues into the rate of reds is probably a pretty good deck. I think Gravy Bones can just any generic blue that comes out that's decent, it's gonna immediately get looked at by a Gravy player. Like that's just how it's gonna go. So I don't think that's anything. The one thing I wanted to add in Sloop's spirit of fun stuff is I want to see on stream somebody banish 3 cards with Base of the Mountain and block 12. On a dominated attack. I think that's gonna be a cool card too. But yeah, it's gonna, as long as Gravy's live, any good generic blue is automatically getting looked at by Gravy. It's just the nature of the hero.
Yeah, I could see Base of the Mountain doing some serious work. But Sloop, what do you think?
I think actually in a similar vein, I think a big thing is that Gravy Bones is the meta deck right now. He's the big new, baddie of the format. So everybody's paying attention to him. And just so when I had picked the your spoiler, Fearless Confrontation as the best card, to be fair, a big part of it is just that the idea of stopping somebody from killing an ally and just destroying everything that they were trying to accomplish it's such a blowout. But the actual, like you had mentioned, actually fitting it into a deck, the actual consistency of seeing, you need to have it in your hand at the time that an ally is taking exact damage. And a lot of times now, if people are fearing it, they might just send 7 at your chum to kill it instead of 6. It does make it more difficult, but the decks that can already get to 6 power can probably get to 7 pretty easily, like Guardians and Brutes.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think people are just being a little too doomer, but we kind of see this every set. I remember when Heavy Hitters, Prism's new Luminaris got revealed, and everybody's like, oh, it's the new set's all about Prism, even though she's not even in the set as a class. But it's obviously that panned out to not be even remotely true. But people just kind of see a card for a deck they don't like and they immediately doomer about it.
Yeah, you might be on the nose with that one, with the overall community. Sometimes we have that effect. Sometimes we do that a little bit, and I think maybe there's a place for that. I think that's okay. But at the same time, I think you're right. I think maybe we are going a little too far down the doom train, maybe scrolling a little bit too much down that direction. Sloop, I'm checking in. We're through one topic. How are you feeling? You feel comfortable? You feel ready?
A little nervous, It's
Oh,
we're on live. It's a game show. I'm used to just chatting away, but it's fun. I'm having a good time.
well,
Sloops
I
used to be
mean,
in the driver's seat.
oh, it what?
Sloops used to be in the driver's seat.
Well,
He was on the other
he's
side.
sitting in the driver's seat right now. Look
I
at that. He's
know.
at 12-10 after one round of
Oh, am I?
play. Dude, you're just crushing it. Absolutely. But here's the thing, gentlemen. These takes are very, very calm. Very, one could describe them as tepid. So we're gonna need to turn the
Oh my.
heat up. And now it's time to get a little bit more interesting. I need to know, what do you think the next mastery pack is going to be? What class do you think should get this next mastery pack? And whether you think that they're weaker class, or they could use a new way to be built, or they're one of my favorites. I don't know. You could go really any direction with this, but let's start with TCG talk.
Okay, so my original answer was going to be Warrior. That's why I thought they were going to. But you know what? I'm just going to go with what I think LSS is going to do because it's money. I think it's going to be Illusionist. I'm just going to, they're going to, people are going to expect Warrior. They're going to expect Brute. They're going to expect Wizard. And guess what's going to happen? Monarchs 3 is coming out, and they're going to go alongside that and do an Illusionist Mastery Pack. And it's going to expand certain Illusionist stuff. Maybe they try to rework, I doubt they'll try to rework Spectra, but I see them, if they don't go the WTR out to fix those heroes, they're going to do something that's going to sell. And I think Illusionist or something unexpected is what people are going to gravitate towards. And I think Monarch 3 coming out next year could possibly sway what the next Mastery Pack is. So if you want to spice your take with the money, raking in money, it's going to be something like Illusionist.
That was a spicy take. I do very much enjoy. I would never have guessed Mastery Pack Illusionist. That was not on my bingo card. But Sloop, what are your thoughts on this?
I would have guessed Mastery Pack Illusionist because that's literally what I wrote down when I did this earlier. Because I had the exact same thought, but I had two. One was, if I was thinking of support, it was either Ranger or Warrior. Warrior was a big one because God help Warriors. But then I was really thinking about it. You made a point. The price. People are illusionist simps. I'm an illusionist simp. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 posters. 5 out of 6 are illusionists. It's so. But there's a couple other things to it. So the reasons I was thinking of it is also because Mastery Park Guardian didn't look like it broke Guardians. It just expanded their card pool, and I think that's what an illusionist Mastery Pack could do. Could just expand the card pool with hopefully not bringing the power too high, right? Because it's very easy to break illusionists. But the other thing for it is we only have Prism in the meta right now. Enigma's gone, Dromai is long gone. Like the only illusionist is one. People would argue Gravy Bones, but he's
Gravy Bones. Yeah, come on.
count.
He's right
No,
there. No,
they could do Mastery Pack. They could do Mastery Pack Necromancer just to expand the card pool. That is definitely a thing that they could do. But I think that because Valda is a non-talented Guardian in Mastery Pack Guardian, so we could finally see the first non-talented illusionist, and they could expand the non-talented illusionist pool because it isn't like that big or that explored, right? There is a decent amount of stuff, but all the illusionists have been talented. So a lot of their best cards are talented cards, right? So I could definitely see. So unfortunately, I have to give the same answer, but yeah, I swear I wrote it down before we started doing this.
Well, I gave you one consolation point for having to go second, but you know what? This is a cutthroat game, so if someone steals someone else's answer, you just got to live with that. I do think that Mastery Pack Illusionist is a really interesting idea. I would not have pointed to it myself, but I think you both make very good points. If I had to put my money down, I would go with Mastery Pack Necromancer. I mean, it's hard to not point to that and say, hey, look, we've already created this Necromancer class. Clearly, it is the most exciting thing that they've done in recent memory. And people are very intrigued, interested, or they love to hate it. They are either loving it or they're loving to hate it. So why not play into that, feed into that, and build out that card pool? I think it also could lead into or follow up the Monarch 3, because I do think that is when we are going to be seeing Necromancer return. But I like the idea of Illusionist. What do you think about Necromancer? Do you think Necromancer falls in there somewhere, Sloop?
In Mastery Pack or just in
In Mastery Pack, yeah.
Monarch 3? Yeah, I mean, honestly, I like I had wrote down illusionist, but I was really tempted to say necromancer too, because like what you pointed out, it's a brand new class. It just seems like the perfect time to do an expansion, especially of the generic stuff, because we have what dead threads is
Mm.
basically it for generic necromancer stuff. And yeah, I could totally see it. And again, Monarch 3, I would not be surprised if we have a shadow necromancer. Like it just kind of makes sense that that would be a perfect thing to fit in. So, I think you've got a really good point there.
Hmm. What are your thoughts on not Guardian Mastery Pack, but Mastery Pack Necromancer?
I mean, you just said Mastery Pack Illusionist, but in a different word. That's basically, I mean, it's the same thing. No, I'm
Oh,
just kidding.
that's a very good point. You get a point for that.
But it'd be interesting to see if they did that because this set only has Valda, right, as a new hero. But if you did a Mastery Pack Necromancer, you would have to implement, in my opinion, like 2 to 3 new heroes, probably 2, like in order to actually delve out the class. Like I wouldn't want to see a whole entire Mastery Pack just to kind of buff Gravy. So like either they would have to bring Necromancer in Monarch 3 somehow, which they could, I think. Let's make, never mind. I'm not gonna say that. Actually, I'm gonna make a Viscerai a Necromancer when he gets resurrected from the dead from the monastery. But somehow put it in Monarch 3, and then you can expand on the hero and release the Monarch 3 and Gravy, or you implement like 2 to 3 new heroes in the Mastery Pack itself, because it can't just be a Gravy support set. So
Now, that's a very
that's
good
my opinion
point
to it.
because if you're building that whole, and honestly, we kind of see that with Guardian Mastery Pack because they release alongside of this and sort of in concert with the Mastery Pack the Deathmatch UPF product, which is called Smash Palace, right? And in that product, they release 4 Blitz heroes, and I do believe those are all young Blitz heroes, correct? Or can they only be played in that set? I forget now.
They
I'm not
only
sure.
I feel like they can only be
I,
played in that set.
I
Here's
think they
in
have.
the
I
in
think
Smash
they have a.
Palace. It's only in that set. They are
yeah,
UPF
they're like
centric.
pit fighters. Ah,
Yeah,
yeah, it says so
yeah,
right there,
Yeah.
right?
yeah. If you have Pitfire, you have to be in a UPF.
So I feel like they could maybe do something with that and either do a similar vein and just build a set for like that product or release that sort of a supplemental product alongside, or they just do away with the pit fighter idea or the tag there and just put young, and then you have 3 4 young necromancer heroes that could be doing different things with that card pool. That could be intriguing, and it could be a way to buffer some of those, or bolster I should say, some of those young hero formats and kind of shift the meta in a way. I can see that being a possibility. Either way, I think necromancer is a fair shake alongside of y'all's pick of illusionist. But the next question about this next mastery pack is really, what does LSS look at as far as feedback is concerned after this mastery pack comes out? Do they see, the overall sentiment? Do they see how successful the product is? And do they make any changes to the mastery pack formula? My question to you both is, do they need to make changes to this formula? And if so, what would you do? If you were put in that position, what would you do, Sloop, to make changes, if you think it's necessary, to this product line?
Um, I mean, I guess it depends. Like the thing is, it seems like Mastery Pack is also aimed to be a crack shuffle play thing for newer players than that. Now, I'm going to be very real. I couldn't care any less for crack shuffle play. I have zero interest. I think I don't even look forward to doing it at all. I'll do it for the ultimate pit fight, the Smash Palace thing, because that's what it's built around. But other than that, I can't see myself ever doing it. So if I were to change it away from that, I would definitely just say maybe add a small expansion slot, or some more cards that, like, because one of the things that people pointed out about this set is that it doesn't have like anything to really deal with arcane or any other
Mm.
strategies aside from like auras, because obviously they can still deal with seismic surges. So when you're making it crack shuffle play, you're kind of funneling yourself in design wise to that like limited experience as well. So if you were aiming for them to be just supplemental sets in terms of we're just buffing these classes, then you could change it from being crack shuffle play to just being about really expanding the classes. But if they want to keep it as crack shuffle play, I think it's basically where it needs to be.
Okay. What do you think, TCG Talk?
So I'll get a little bit real here too for a second, and I'm not trying to be overly negative, but I think it does have a point. Is they need to be more specific on what the purpose of the set is, and be consistent with it, and have a very, very, very clear messaging from a marketing standpoint on what this set is. if you go all the way back to when they first started talking about Mastery Set, this was way back in Osaka. That's when they talked about the keynote. If you look at the little blurb that they said is Mastery Pack Guardian is an all Guardian support set that Japanese fans of the class will be thrilled to learn that another archive pack will be released in December. This is back when it was its original date. Bringing key Guardian, Elemental Ice, and Earth reprints to their collections. Or like, so that was Mastery Pack Archive, and then they talked about the Mastery Set, talking about like key reprints, right? Or like that was like the key messaging. And then they moved to the May announcement for Mastery Pack Guardian itself when it was saying that it was going to have Guardian fans upgrade their decks, level up their gameplay, and crush their opponents. Whether you're a Guardian just starting your journey or you've been dominating since Welcome to Wraith, Master Guardian is your dream set. So if you hear that, you think that this is something like we all thought it was going to be. And I think that's why a lot of people have that perception of this is going to be like an end all be all set for Guardian. This is what's going to bring Guardian back into the limelight. It's not that, which is not bad. It's just I think people had that perception because of how the product was marketed. So the one thing I would like to see them change is be very clear, maybe in a dev talk, because those have done so well when we've gotten any information passed via those, on like what the next purpose of the Guardian pack is. Or maybe they focus it a little bit more themselves. And that's not a negative. Like, this is the first of this product's iteration, so they're going to have learnings, obviously. So that's something I hope they do in the second set is like, is this a crack shuffle play / introduction to the class for a new player to the class, or is this a true upgrade set for current players also to bring the class back to the forefront? Like, what is the purpose, and make sure that stays consistent?
So I'm going to push back a little bit because I do think that the market. So I agreed with you up until I really sat down, reread exactly what is on that product page, and thought about it. Because if read that one sentence again, I don't have it pulled up myself, but I think do you still have it pulled up?
Yeah, I've pulled up.
About they're going to Guardian players can upgrade their decks, and then what were the other points?
So master your class with all new Mastery Pack Guardian. The supplementary booster pack has everything Guardian fans need to upgrade their decks, level up their gameplay, and crush their opponents.
Okay.
Crack shovel.
So my question for you is, which of those 3 promises that they made in that sentence did they not deliver on? Do we agree that there's some level of upgrades provided in this product? I think we can say yes. Now, how
yes,
much?
But you were talking in a sensible player, not in a hyper competitive. And I'm one of these people, hyper competitive Timmy player that literally wants to make their. When you think upgrade in terms of flesh and blood, you think my class is now like meta relevant and good. I don't know. I think your thoughts of upgrade and like a general like hardcore competitive players third upgrade because you're thinking more objectively. I think other people are thinking more emotionally.
Well, I can understand that, but is that correct? Is that the correct thing to think about? Because they did provide some level of upgrades, right? And then the second one, I think you said something like be able to provide the ability to get your hands on cards or something to that effect, reprints. Is that what it was?
Yeah, like in the original Osaka's keynote statement or whenever it came out, it said to get like key reprints, key cards that they need type thing.
Right. And if you look at the reprints, and I think this is very, very smart for them to do, if you look at cards.fabtcg.com, you see that some of the biggest and most played like base level cards are all in there. So you could conceivably build an entire base, like a blue base, and even some like of those splash and reds, from this set, which I mean, they did, right? And then what was the third point?
The third and final point was whether you just started your Guardian journey or you've been dominating since WTR.
No, before that.
Guardians or dream set. Crack Shovel play Master Pack Guardian is the fastest and funnest.
Before that as well.
Flesh and blood.
It was the last portion of the sentence.
I don't know. Level up their gameplay and crush their opponents.
Okay, and crush their opponents. There's definitely crush cards. No, they delivered, I guess, on that. Either way, to me, like I look at the messaging and I see that to some degree, it is consistent with the product that we got. I think the issue is that people expect exactly what you said, that they're reading this with their hearts and they think, okay, this is going to push my deck to tier 0, and now Guardian is ruling the roost. And you know what? If this had released before High Seas and in that time frame where Enigma leaves,
Guardian would have
that might have been correct. But what we got was a delay, a release after Gravy Bones, who, like we say again, is a very popular, very well-liked, and very interesting hero, and one that does do a very good job of making Guardian kind of go away a little bit, right? So I don't know. I feel like the marketing, after I thought about it, is actually fairly on point. Now, I personally would say that I would have liked to see in this set, and I think this would have really kind of hit the ball out of the park, so to speak. I would have liked to see a specific hate card for Guardian to play against things like board state decks, not just dealing with auras, but like also being able to incorporate allies. I mean, they clearly were very on the nose with the pirate themed cards in this set in the generic slot, right? There's the other Majestic whose name eludes me, but it's literally got a pirate captain, right? I think it's like Captain something or other. What is it? I don't know if anyone knows that one. Captain of the Guard. Here, I'll put it on the screen. That's right. I'm getting my assistant to put it on the screen. Come on, Jeremy, go faster. There it is. Okay, Captain of the Guard is on the screen. Like, it's so on the nose. Like, this is clearly like hinting at the fact that pirates are about to be out. So obviously, like, they knew that Gravy Bones was coming down the pipeline when they were just developing this set, and it was going to come out before that happened. So it would have been easy for them to kind of slot in something that answers allies, not just auras, which is what they got. So that's what I would have loved to have seen personally. And I think it would have been a lot more well received if, this all lined up based on the original plan of release, and nothing was messed up because it sat in a port for too long, or because, there was a print issue. I think the product might have come out a little bit differently received from that. But I digress. I should get off my soapbox because maybe I'll have to get on it later. Mike, let's go ahead and shift over to a second topic, or in this case, I guess a third topic in a way, and that is this. It's Collectors Week, and it's about the end of Collectors Week, and a lot of people were showing off some really, really cool, really beautiful cards, really collectible cards, and talking about their collections. In fact, I think LSS actually posted a video, of one of which I haven't seen yet, like maybe a couple of hours ago, 5 or 6 hours ago, on the main channel, about some sort of a battle of who's got like flashier cards.
It's awesome.
Is that what is it?
It's so fun. So it's literally them like flipping cards like you would in a normal classic constructed match, like hero down, weapon down, equipment down, and they flip one at a time and go into battles of who's got the best drip, and they got points by Hamal based off of like the level of their drip. So like Blaze had a cold full promo Titan's Fist. One guy had a like a Rosetta Thorn Marvel with a Briar Marvel. Like it was just like them getting to show off their cards while having a pseudo competition on who had the best drip. It's really good.
Okay, I have to go watch that. I was busy watching the Minecraft movie instead, so I'll have to go back and revisit that video after we're done here. But I guess, it could be from that video. But my question for you on this topic is, what is the biggest flex that you have seen this week? And I want to start with TCG Talk.
Oh, that's so hard. So like the card that I still think is really cool that it took off initially, but they never got, they never kept their desire or want, or maybe they did, it's just not as public, is the Prism and Chain serialized cards. Someone posted that on one of their on their replies that they owned one of those, and I always forget those things exist until someone talks about them again. And then I always wonder, like, okay, how many of those have been found? And I'm sure someone has that track somewhere of like how many have been found. But that was like my favorite thing, other than just generally seeing people's like the card they have that's most important to them might not be the most expensive one. Like one was a Riptide Marvel, which is like $60, but to that person, that's like their like prize possession. So just seeing like it doesn't have to be a $500 card to be like a really cool collector card. So I just like seeing those, honestly.
What do you think, Sloop? What was the most drippy thing you saw this week?
Well, the most drippy that I saw was a dude who had a like fully blinged out Prism deck, including like Arclight, Arclight Sentinels and everything else. He had the Prism statue, which I like. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't like James one time say those are like 10 grand because they're like there's only 100 and they're made by Weta Workshops, right? Like an incredibly well done. Dude, I can't imagine how much money they had to buy that 7-foot Prism statue for. That probably was like probably like 100 grand. Like I swear that thing looks incredible, but I think Honestly, though, I have to give it to one guy who had posted a graded cold foil Eye of Ophidia that apparently he had gotten out of like one pack out of like a prize pack from an event or something at like a calling. I
Oh,
can't remember exactly how he got it, but just it was a one pack thing and pulled a cold foil Eye. And there's just something about the first few sets and the fableds from them because that was such like an amazing time. And there's so few of those
mm.
around, and there's so like few packs of Arcane First in general. So I think for me that had to be my favorite, just because like it brings me back to those early days of the game.
Oh, bonus point for saying my chase card. That is my white whale of Flesh and Blood, is a cold foil Eye of Ophidia. And I'm fairly certain that I would double sleeve it and play it in a deck. Um, I think I would probably pull the trigger on that. Based on the way that I like handle my other cards, I think the only card that I am not comfortable sleeving up and playing at this point is the card that says Cookus on it. I don't think I could.
Oh,
I don't.
come on, you got
I
to
couldn't
use
bring
that.
myself to put that in a second sleeve and slam that on the table because I feel like someone might snatch that. You know, like run away with
Mm.
it, like the literal art from Snatch. They're just darting out there. I think they might pull that on there because that card is so nice. But bonus point for saying I have Ophidia. I'm a big fan of the giant, like that exact picture. I saw it on Twitter as well of the entire Prism deck fully cold foiled it. I was like, come on. Every card that can be cold foil is cold foil, and everything else is like the extended art. Like you could see through the text box. Oh, it was fantastic. That was certainly up there on my list. But I will say, did y'all see the article that Lee put on fabtcg.com
I
talking
haven't read it
about
yet.
his?
No.
It was the one that was all about Mask of Momentum. I'm not sure if you
Yeah.
saw it, but that first picture, that was a pretty good picture. I'm just saying. I'm just
Is it
saying.
the one where he's got like 20 of them or whatever?
No, it's the one with him and me, and he's holding the cold foil Eye
Oh,
of Ophidia that I opened for him.
oh, nice, nice. Yeah.
Oh man, good times, good times. Collecting. Here's my question for you to follow up that previous one, and it's this: how do you feel about the state of collecting in Flesh and Blood? Do you feel like it's in a better place? Do you feel like it's really down right now? Where do you feel the state of collecting is in Fab? Because I was thinking about this over the past couple of days, and I have some strong opinions, and I want to hear from you, Sloop, first.
Okay, so I've actually thought about this a decent amount because as guys know, I'm sure you guys have been around for quite a while. Steven, you've been around longer than me. Collecting used to be the thing in Flesh and Blood. Like it like outweighed players at the earliest days, just because like the how rare the first few sets were. And I've noticed over time, I think collecting in Flesh and Blood, even though some people try to say it's all dead and it's gone, whatever, I think especially as Collectors Week has shown us, it's just changed, and the people who are interested in collecting have kind of, some have gone, more new people have come in, and I think a lot of people collect things that they're attached to with this game. So people who love a hero like Prism, if they have a lot of money and the means to, they will go out and they will collect everything for their Prism deck, the
Mm,
statue and all that. You've seen those drip decks that they did the video on. Like these people probably love those heroes and enjoy doing blinging out those decks, and I think that's where collecting in Flesh and Blood is. It's the heroes and the decks that you love are the things that people go after. They go after the shiniest variants, the cold
hmm
foils, the marvels, the promos. And I think that's where a lot of collecting has landed. I mean, sure, there's still people who love to open up sets and collect like, master sets of everything and all the marvels and chase cold foils and such. But I think it's kind of shifted away from collectors caring so much about the pure value of everything and more just collecting the things that they love by attachment to the game.
I like that. Yeah, I think you hit on the one of the main points that I've been mulling over. But what do you think, TCG Talk?
Yeah, so I'm not a collector connoisseur. So like my stuff is totally opinion, not fact. But like I think Fab is in this tweener stage in the TCG realm where like we're not quite like we don't have the storied years that like some of the the tier zeros have to get to that point. Like there's certain like I remember certain creator was talking about like how some people will buy like sets of Magic that were just at the time awful sets, and they still are in terms of competitive viability. But now, since they're 15 years old, they're going for $500 a box because people just want to own, a sealed portion of the set. So, like, Flesh and Blood's not at that point yet because we don't have that many years. But we're also not in the kind of honeymoon stage of a TCG where you see a lot of people do, even as low as like Kickstarter TCGs, where people just buy into it because they think it's gonna like explode, right? It's like we're like right in between that. And then you also have the thing of Flesh and Blood, similar to Sloop said, where like this is a player's game first. And I think LSS kind of really pushed that hard once they realized that it was like this 50-50. Because I do remember I came in Monarch, and even when I came in, like collecting and playing was like equal. And then once they swapped out Unlimited and First Edition, once that kind of change happened, from then on, I think that was Tails, things just kind of like went towards players. And I do agree. I think the collecting now is like, I love Arachne Marionette. I'm going to collect every Marvel. I'm gonna have Coldful, Hunter's Claves. I'm gonna have and like I remember at the Pro Tour seeing Mara's like, God knows how much that Jeremiah deck was, with like the 10 Marvel Ashwings that she had. Like that, I think that's where Fab collecting is going, because I think it's hard to move a lot of the high end like rare stuff. Like take the Altart Command and Conquer with Kasai on it. It's an amazing card, but very few people are probably going to want to buy that card. Again, that's opinion, not fact. I don't have like data on this, but like people want to buy like the high price cards that are appropriate to their deck. Unless you have like a Goldfold Tunic or something that is just outright like, Crindle or Crumb, I don't think that market is right there right now in Flesh and Blood. It may be at some point, obviously, but right now I think it's just a player-focused game, and so you're seeing the collecting be from players. So yeah.
I think you're right on the money. I think both of you are. And I would say this. I think, as a blanket statement, I think collecting is on its way back up in Flesh and Blood. To go back and talk more about the history you were touching on, it was the overprinting of both Monarch and Tales of Aria that really pushed collectors out of the game, because everything sort of lost its value, lost its shine, lost its luster. And then that shift from there to the no more unlimited product after Everfest, and then following up with the full announcement at Uprising, it was that moment where I think there were a lot of people that felt like their diamond hands had been wronged, and their collection of just the sets itself had lost enough value that they just completely pulled out of the whole endeavor. And there was this period of time where collecting was pretty much non-existent if you're talking about high-end stuff, right? There weren't a lot of people out there that were doing it as there was in those first 3 to 4 sets, if you will, because Monarch was really I think the apex. It was the peak. For those that weren't around when Monarch released, the cold foils that you would just get out of a booster box could go upwards of over $1,000. You could have sold those Prism shoes for the Phantasmal Footsteps for over $1,000 at the moment it released, until everyone realized that, there were a lot more on the market than they thought. And that's when things started to go awry. But I think LSS has done a fantastic job of staying the course and tweaking their product line, and then really targeting exactly what you said. The idea of, let's give people the thing they want to collect for their hero so that they can jump on board with that. I think they found exactly what this community wants to do from the collecting sphere, and that's collect their specific hero that they play, so that when they play that hero, they feel like the hero and they feel like the best version of that hero, because it's just so shiny to look at. So I think that they really hit that one out of the park, and I think collecting is on the rise again in a way that we haven't seen in the past year or so. And I think it's perspective that allows us to see that. So the longer you're in the game, the more you can watch the ebbs and flows of this. So stick around if you're out there in the audience and you want to have that sort of experience to watch it go up and down. It's a fun one. It's a fun one to watch. Now, before we go into our final topic, we're going to take stock, as you see, 22 to 23. And it's down to this final topic and a lightning round to solve the issue. The final question, if you will, of who's going to win this episode of Give and Take. So let's talk about that final one. And it's none other than about this guy, the brand new Bravo, who has a brand new card effect, Bravo Flattering Showman. It's a Guardian Hero, young, so it can be played in young hero formats. And it says action, pay 2, tap this hero, and then turn a face down card in your arsenal face up. If it has Crush, it gets +2 and dominate this turn. go again. Now, this is the new hero that released alongside of the demo deck, the Bravo demo deck, which we saw featured on the Dice Commando YouTube channel and then subsequently on the main Fab TCG YouTube channel. So I want to ask the resident reviewer himself how he feels about this brand new product. How do you feel about this new demo deck?
I feel really good about it. Just from looking at the deck itself, I think there's a lot of depth. I love that it doesn't just have 3 of every card, because the first time somebody's playing the deck, they're going to use their 1-ofs and 2-ofs recklessly because they're not really going to know. But if they play a couple more games as they're learning, they might start to realize, oh, there's only one Macho Grande and I killed them in the last game. Maybe I should try and save this for later. I like that there's armor but no weapon. It's a way to remove a little bit from the game, just so they don't have as much to worry about. Also removes the idea of like just pitching to the hammer over and over. They've even got a card that when you win a clash, it mills. It like destroys the top card of their deck. So they're clearly trying to like actually end games by people, running out of cards to teach them that aspect of the game, or just to kind of wear down. And honestly, also it's got Blossom of Spring, my favorite budget chess piece. I love that. I love more of those. Like, that's people getting into the game. They've got Blossom in place of Tunic, so they can at least get started. They obviously Tunic's better for CC or whatever, but it's a starting point. It's great to get in their hands. And I mean, the Ira Welcome deck was such a wonderfully crafted experience that I'm gonna have to play the Bravo decks against each other to see how it really is. But I think that when they make small products like these, they do a really, really good job of making these wonderful self-contained experiences that they can really polish. And so I'm just gonna trust them on this one, that it's gonna be just as good as the Ira, if not better.
How do you feel about it, TCG Talk?
Yeah, I'm very similar. The one thing is no weapon. I think the no weapon's great because we've all learned in any limited environment or in any less powerful environment, fatigue weapon is probably like one of the biggest and easiest fallbacks. So to not have a weapon actually makes people think through their hand structures, which then in turn makes people learn the game better. I think this is a upgrade to the IRA welcome decks solely because it just feels like you're doing cooler things. I love the IRA welcome decks, but sometimes you swing your edge for 1, you swing for 2 with a soul beat or 3 with a soul beat strike, and you end your turn. Like, that's not like very exciting at times. Even though the game is exciting, the mechanics are exciting, what you're doing physically with the cards isn't as crazy. And that's not always the point of the demo deck, but if you can add that in, it's really cool. And I think that this does that. Like swinging with a Thunderquake for 10, you feel like even in a demo deck level, you're doing something like crazy powerful because you don't know the power level of the game yet, but you feel like I'm swinging 10 damage at this guy with a demo deck. Stuff like that. And then also, I've always told people non-talented Guardian games, whether you're playing against Guardian or as a Guardian, are some of the most, I guess, pinnacle moments I've ever experienced in Flesh Mode. Like old school Katsu, trying to arsenal my unmovable so I didn't get blown out by that one really big crippling crush they were trying to set up. And if I didn't get it in time, then they just blew me out. I think that this demo deck has even at its very like rudimentary core, has the ability to give that experience to players. Like, I'm trying to arsenal that, knock them off their feet so I can dominate it with 2 blues and then throw it for 10 dominate. Like, I think that will give people these cool pinnacle moments, even at a demo deck level, that I don't think the Ira deck gave. The Ira deck gave very grind down moments, but it didn't give like these super powerful turns. Whereas I think that this, from a demo perspective, can, and I think that will get people hooked into the game even better.
Yeah, I actually 100% agree. And I do agree the removal of the weapon kind of forces you to learn the game in a different way. And I taught a fair number of people, including my wife and both of my older kids, how to play the game with the demo decks, specifically the IRA demo decks, of course. And you do very much run into that where it's just like your turn is just, I hit for 1 and then I play this thing for like 4 because it got the +1 off of the IRA, and then I pass. Like, that's the turn. And so it's not very flashy. You get to understand the game and you learn the game, and I think that's the overall point.
Yeah.
That's the point of the product, is to learn the game. But I think you also want someone to learn the game, but you also want to capture their imagination. You want to make them go, oh my gosh, what did I just do? That thing on the table does half of your life in this game. Like, that's a really interesting and exciting like moment. And I think this product delivers on that more so than the IRA deck does. So I'm pretty happy with it. I think you could have included a weapon. I think you certainly could have. And there is something to be said about the idea of maybe putting a weapon in there and the other side is the no weapon, like thing. Or you just use that card and you pretend it's a weapon and you teach what it feels like to play with the weapon. Because there is such like, it's the game of Flesh and Blood is ubiquitous with fatigue sometimes. Like those things are not mutually exclusive. You are going to play games where you do need to understand what it looks like and feels like to have someone swinging a weapon at you over and over and you having to lose your deck because you have to block. So I think that there's a teaching moment there as well, but I think I would prefer them to do what they did with this product and have that as a secondary step rather than it being the other way around. So that's how I feel about it too. I'm not even going to dive into a second topic on that because there's one more thing I have to say about this. We are confirmed that this is a young Guardian hero. Is that correct, everybody?
From my understanding, yeah. So it is Blitz legal.
I could play this in Blitz, right?
Unless they
Is it
said something
good?
different, yes.
Look, I have a bone to pick, okay? I have a bone to pick with everyone out there that doesn't play the Blitz format. Look, I understand that everyone is allowed their opinions, but my issue is this. The upcoming skirmish season is going to be a topic of conversation next week on Give and Take, and I feel very strongly that Blitz should have more of a presence than it does. Why? Because it's in a fantastic place, because it has been well balanced thanks to the changes that they've made fairly consistently. And I very firmly believe it is still a very valid and valuable format in this. And I am absolutely bereft by the fact that I have one skirmish in my area and it is not Blitz. In fact, it is going to be Crack Shuffle play, which I'm pretty sure I heard Sloopdoop say that he does not care about. And spoiler alert, I would rather play Blitz. I'd rather play Blitz. I want more Blitz tournaments. And here's the thing. I have put the time in on Blitz. I know that meta. I know how to play my deck into every other deck in the format, except like Olympia, that doesn't exist. No one plays that hero. I know how to play into everyone else except that deck. So I want... shut up. I do play Blaze. I want to go out and use my skills to feel like I can like go toe to toe and like challenge myself. And yet, because people out there don't like Blitz, I can't do that. Is this selfish? Yes. Moving on. Okay, that brings us to our final topic, which is none other than a lightning round. Yes, that's right. I'm going to fire off some quick hit topics, and I just want your one word or one sentence answer, and we will figure out where the chips will fall. Okay, I gave you my answer earlier to this first question. It's all about Collector's Week. This is my white whale card. What is yours, Sloopdoop?
Oh man, I kind of already have my white whale card from back in the day, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh, subtle flex. Okay, great. Yeah,
well,
great.
it was a cold foil library of Solana. I had pulled the rainbow foil as my first Marvel, and I spent $1,000 on that card. And let me tell you, it is not worth $1,000 anymore. If my white whale right now in the moment has to be Marvel Gravy Bones because I don't have one, and I love the hero and play him all the time, and like I don't want to spend the money on it, but that would be a really nice thing to have because I play the deck like that's like one of the only things I'm playing right now.
Bonus point for how much you spent on a card that's not worth it. Number two. No, you don't. Number two. What do you think, TCG Talk?
For white whale card, like
yes, that's
out
right.
of my reach, I probably shouldn't spend the money on, but I want to, is Marvel Ira from Worlds. Like it's a $2,000 card right now.
Yeah.
And that's my like one like maybe 5-year anniversary with Reagan. Like, hey, instead of us going on a trip, just buy me Marvel Ira and just give it to me. No. That's probably my white whale card.
I can see that. I would have guessed that for you, honestly. Like that's a pretty solid answer. And God, it's a beautiful card too. I just want to highlight this. I mean, like the library is great. Here's the great library of Solana, and there it is. Like, unfortunately, that direction you can't really see it. It's not great either way. But the Ira, and I don't know if I can even pull up the fancy version. Let's see how fancy we can get.
I have it.
Scarlet.
I have the extended art. I have the extended art. The extended art anime version.
Wait,
but
yes,
I don't have the full Marvel.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I think both of those are super solid cards. Okay, question number 2. Aurora has been announced as coming back in 2026. But my question is not about her. It's about this. What hero do you think they should bring back alongside of her or even before her? What hero should come back next? TCG Talk.
I want. This is not the most popular one. I want for Monarch 3. I don't want it to be in Solana. I want it to be in Demonastery. I want us to flip to Demonastery, and all the heroes are based out of Demonastery. And I want to see Viserai come back from the dead and/or Chain. Viserai is my first one, as the next hero to come back. That would be my one.
I like it. Viserai is a solid choice. What do you think, Sloop?
Dragon Mommy.
All right, you get 2 points for that because that is such a good answer. I am so in for that. Look, for those that don't know, I am a man of few heroes, and Dromai coming back, that would be peak. I'm a
Except for everybody that doesn't like her. A lot of people will be very upset.
I don't know. Can we really tell? Like, is this hero or Gravy Bones? Like, which one is the best board state hero for like people
Dromai.
that hate? I think Dromai's better.
Yeah, I was gonna say old school Dromai probably just eats Gravy Bones for breakfast. Like,
No,
I
mean
one Ashwing just kills all the
for
allies.
all the people that complain about like board state decks. I think Dromai is healthier. I'll be more specific. I think more people would be like, yeah, I'd rather play Dromai than Gravy. You don't think so? I could play Poppers again.
As an old school assassin player, I literally almost didn't go to events because this hero was the best hero in the game. It literally shut out complete
assassin. I mean, who plays assassin?
But Tomultai
classes.
Tomultai.
Yeah, and then getting Tomultai turned.
I got all the Marvel Dragons. That's another thing I have. So I want to play them again. I want to play my Marvel Dragons, except for Dracona Optimi. That card's not real.
I would agree with that. Okay, and the final question for today. Everybody knows that today marks the release of The Bad Guys 2. And I know you're buying tickets right now to go see the fantastic sequel to the smash hit The Bad Guys, all about a crew of thieves. And yes, they are also animals, but a crew of thieves trying to steal, but then turning their hearts around and becoming the good guys. But that begs the question. And you can, of course, go see the movie if you want. And this is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form by them, unless they wanted to. The question is this. Who would you say the true bad guy is in the Flesh and Blood lore? In the storyline itself, who is the true bad guy? TCG Talk.
The true bad guy right now is Chain. I mean, Chain literally is trying to go into Arethiel and harness its power to like destroy Solana. But then people also think of it, he's secretly the good guy. That's a whole other thing. But right now, it's got to be Chain. Like Chain's literally trying to harness the power of the most evil of Wraith in order to do whatever he feels is best for the world. So, and if you want to do on a bad guy thing, it could just be Chain in general because some argue he's trying to do the good guy thing, and that Solana's the bad guys.
Yep. Yeah, that's tucked in there in the storyline. What do you think, Sloop?
I was gonna say, hear me out. In the story, I believe it was during Dusk Till Dawn. There's and maybe after Dynasty, after the Emperor's killed, there was something about Shiana going back.
I know what you're gonna say.
These, like,
I know it.
These 8 magistrates of like Solana or whatever, the 9, I think it's 8. And they like as she goes in, she gives a report or whatever, and then they like wipe her mind and she like repeats a mantra back to them. And I'm genuinely wondering if maybe Solana, like the rulers of Solana, are doing some really shady things in the background, maybe trying to harness power themselves. And I think that they might end up being a bigger bad, and like Prism, has to turn against them or something to reclaim Solana or whatever. Maybe they're working with the Demonastery to like get them in. I don't know. Just the fact that they wiped Shiana's mind, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe these guys are, maybe because James also mentioned that in the past he had made a point that he thinks the Demonastery people think they're on the good side.
Yes, they do.
So he was like, it's a black and white story. So it's like, okay, so it's probably both sides are doing nasty things and they're both achieving the same end, but that's going to destroy the world. But I'm going with the good guys that don't seem so good.
No, here's the thing. Y'all missed it. Okay, look, the storyline is fairly clear. Both sides have no idea who the real bad guy is. Well, that's not true. Technically, Chain and the Demonastery probably know who the real bad guy is, but the real bad guy are the Aesir. Those, the old ones, are the real bad guy. And it's the reason that Chain is going to try and harness the Embra that are in Irathiel, is because he needs that power to be able to protect Wraith from the return of the old ones, which is when we saw, the destruction of, the Olin and, the Davnir dies, the elementals over in Aria. They all fall to the power of the old ones in, a previous age. So they're both fighting each other, but they're missing the point. Chain is fighting to kill Solana so that he can use the death and the power itself to basically take these Embra and hopefully stop, the power of the Aesir. The Solanians are just fighting to not die, and you're right, they did indeed make Shiana into an empty vessel to house Sol, but what they think is their deity is actually one of the old ones that they've been worshiping all along. And so they don't know that they've been duped. You see, they were all fooled because the true evil has lurked in the background in all of the regions of Wraith for the entirety of the story. And I'm desperately hoping that that is the storyline that we get in Monarch 3, where everyone realizes at the pinnacle of this battle, at its absolute apex, that all of it was for naught because the Aesir return in that moment, because that would be the most windmill slam freaking dunk I would ever have seen. It'd be so great. So because neither of you said the Aesir, neither of you get points. But what does that mean? It means that none other than Sloopdoop picks up the win for this week's episode. Congratulations, sir, for coming on here and windmill slamming that in. If we, honestly, here's the thing. If either of you had said Aesir, you would have either of you would have gotten a point. So TCG Talk, if you would have said Aesir, I would have had to have come up with a question.
It's because I said Kano wasn't real. That's literally the
I thought the Aesir, but when you were like the bad guy, I was like, oh, let's come up with a clever answer because I remembered the magistrate thing. Because my first answer, I don't know, I didn't read Chain's story, so I wasn't all up on what he was doing. I just remembered like the magistrates and what they were doing, but that actually makes sense. Can I add something quickly here to what you were saying?
Yes.
So the Aesir and everything else, can we just agree that Flesh and Blood hasn't had like the most coherent story? It feels like we've got a few, like we've got the Dynasty and Uprising and Hunted plotline. We've got like the Tales plotline that melds into the Monarch, but it kind of feels like everything's scattered. But the story of the Aesir, and we're seeing it in Mastery Pack Guardian in the art, that is, I agree with you. Like that is the thing that I cannot wait for Flesh and Blood, everything to reach that pinnacle where it's like every set and story kind of converges around that one idea, and we stop like just going like, oh, we're here over in, the deathmatch arena with the goofy, wrestling set, or we're over here. It's like, I would love to see like multiple sets from different perspectives, all based around like, oh, the world is ending again.
See, I gotta push back. I would not describe the story as incoherent. I think this is a storytelling tactic to stretch out this storyline across 5 years. And so you're seeing all these different parts of Wraith. Now, the interesting thing is if they can take these through lines, which they've already established, and start tying them together. And I think that's what they're starting to do.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So, but I will push back. I don't think that it's incoherent because of that. I would say that this is just a storytelling tactic that you do almost have to go hunting for if you care about the lore of Flesh and Blood. But I kind of like that too. Like if you're a lore head, you have to go hunting. Either way, though, you get to take your victory lap right now. You can say anything you want in this moment because you are the winner. Sloop, take it away.
Subscribe to DM Armada, make a number go to another number. Or unsubscribe. That's how you make the number go to another number as well.
Okay, cutting you off after that one. Okay, TCG Talk, you are the runner-up this week. Congratulations. Do you have anything you would like to say?
No, nothing. Yeah, I'm only here so I won't get fined. I think Breezy took the cake last week. So I'm totally.
That is true. That is true. Well, everybody, thank you so much for coming along with us on another one of these. We'll see you again next week. So, don't go too far. See ya.